Hi, I'm Brad Coulter, and this is Looking Back. The name of this week's story is Dr. A.D. Tyrell, the Maplewood Fair, and the Breadbox. This story for me begins with the Breadbox, not the kind that sits on your counter, but this one is more like a trunk. In 1994, I bought a home at 206 West 19th Street from Mrs. Gulliford Fern Lips. One of the interesting items she left for me was a dusty old sewing box. When I was a kid, every grandma had an old sewing box full of yarn and covered with material. Sometime later, I decided to take the material off and see what was underneath. As I peeled off each layer, it seemed that a generation was stripped away, and the last of 4 layers was a carpet bag material that was used in the early 1900s. Much to my surprise, what I found next was a very old trunk emblazoned with the words Krug's Bread. A little research of Krug's didn't turn up much, so the box turned into a conversation piece for me, but not much was known about it. What I did know was that Mrs. Lips had said the home I bought and the building next door were built by the same person, and it had been a store. She also told me the home had been in her family 99 years, and she was very particular about who would be buying it. Fast forward to now, and as I started to write the Looking Back column, the Breadbox came to mind again, and I set out to find out who it belonged to. Dr. A.D. Alexander DeWitt Tyrell was born on July 22, 1835 in southern New York State. He was a close relative of DeWitt Clinton, mayor of New York City, and was related to the famous Clintons and the DeWitts, who were very prestigious in the founding in the early days of our country. The families were very wealthy, but after being educated in medicine and pharmacy, he set out to make his own way and moved to Connersville. He arrived here in 1864 and was soon considered among the ablest physicians and served several terms as coroner and county physician. He served in the position of the poor several times. It seems the county paid the doctor to care for people without the means to pay for their own care. It is said that he was very successful in the treatment of typhoid and many ailments of the time. He even served as sheriff for a time to fill a vacancy. In 1882, he was married to Luella Backhouse at her parents' home, still standing at 2687 South State Road 1. Later that year, they purchased 33 acres from Anthony Schneider and built a cottage at 206 West 19th Street. He added on to the house and eventually added a second story as it is today. In 1895, he added a building to house his office, a pharmacy, and store at 216 West 19th Street. The new store was called Maplewood Fair, and he had a hall there called Tyrell Hall. Many political speeches were given there, including Connersville Mayor Finley Gray giving a speech called The Filthy Canal. This was in 1910 when Finley was trying to get the people to support the city investing in new water wells and abandoning the canal as a water source. No doubt this interested the doctor greatly, as there were many ill from effects of drinking the unsanitary water. He continued business there until 1919, when the store changed hands and became the Sanitary Meat Market. By this time, A.D. and Lou's daughter, Elsie, had married Roy Lips, and their son, Gulliford, had arrived in 1908. Roy was a baker in his father's business downtown and drove the baker's wagon. As an interesting side note, Roy played the cornet. At some point, he tired of honking the tin horn to announce his deliveries and decided to play a solo for the housewife at each stop. This caused a huge increase in business for the Lips Bakery. As a bonus, the women would come out to the wagon and almost always make a purchase. This was so popular, other local businessmen tried adding vaudeville to their deliveries. Dr. A.D. Tyrell lived until July 13, 1925, and Luella until 1930, and the home was passed to Elsie Lips, their daughter. Elsie shared the house with Gulliford and Fern after their marriage on Christmas Day 1931. When Elsie passed in 1961, she left the home to Gulliford and Fern, who lived there with their daughter Judy until selling it to me in 1994. As I said, this story started with the Breadbox. It must be presumed that the box sat on the sidewalk in front of the store to accept the overnight bakery deliveries from Krug's. The box likely was covered by material, after the Tyrell store closed in the mid-1910s. This is my fascination with small-town living. A neighborhood boy familiar with all the characters and landmarks in the story later buys the home and inherits the Breadbox that inspires the story of one of Connersville's early pioneer doctors to be remembered. What a glorious place we call home.